All right. Good morning. Good morning, good evening, good night, good afternoon. Buenas tardes, buenas noches, buenos dias. How many languages can I say that in? I bet you quite a few. I I have a major snow day outside. It hit Ontario, and my poor cat is out there. I'm so worried about him. He ran out the door last night, and I screamed at him. I said, "Cat, come back!" And he just wouldn't come back. I mean, I figured, okay, he's got to go outside. He has a little den that I built for him. Um, so if he's ever stuck, there's always that little den in my back door here. There's just so much snow today. It's ridiculous. I'm going to do something about that window too. There we go. A little less light in the house for videoing. So I'm a little worried about him today, but he's a very resilient cat. I mean, he'll be fine. He's probably underneath my neighbor's porch, where of course there's food there, and there's always food for him in my back porch here because it's covered, So I mean, the snow only goes so far, and I shoveled, so he'll be fine. He'll be fine. It's not the first time. It's not his first winter out there either. He does go out. He often comes back around 6:30 at night for dinner time, and he didn't know it was going to snow, and he didn't understand me when I said no, stay inside. But 4 years old now. You don't tell him what to do. And he's had a lot of confrontations with other animals. So, I want to make breakfast. So I have my little bowl here. These are great little bowls. Thrift shops. You can find metal bowls like this. You'll see at the restaurant, and you might have to keep going in looking for different sizes. But after a while, you'll have 6 or 7 of them that you can put in the biggest bowl and the medium, small to smallest, right? Kind of like you see at the restaurant. But eventually you have 7 or 8 of them. And they're about $1.99 each. Not expensive at all. And my favorite bowl is the little one because I often use it for eggs. I use it for spices when I want to mix spices together. I use it for a lot of different things. I use it as a garbage bowl. Also, I put it on the side so when I'm chopping up onions and stuff, and you want to take the root out, if you're reciprocating cut white onions for carm onions or something like that, because you got to take that root out inside when you're reciprocating cut. It's cutting the onion on an angle like this, right? Okay, I'll show you one of these times. So I think my very first video, I showed you how to cut a mirepoix. So it's cut like that. So you get your cubes. But we'll go over that again one of these days. There's plenty of time in the middle of winter right now, and I only got a part-time gig happening right now, plus a little catering that really I don't do all that well on. It's mostly crudités and fruit platters, a few meat platters, vegetable, meat, and fruit platters. I mean, that's what people want. Coffee, and you bring it to their business where they're having a staff meeting or something like that, and it goes in the center of the table with the Tim Hortons coffee, and that's it. There's not much to it, but people like that because they got to sit for a long time, and they want to munch on something. It saves them from getting up and going to have lunch. They can just work through lunch, and Yeah, staff meetings. But anyways, getting back to the little bowl here, I'm going to make scrambled eggs. Before I get to the scrambled eggs, now I want to talk about my, our mother sauces. All right, let me just get some tools out of the way here. Well, I guess I can put my books right here. And you got several mother sauces. Let's see. Papers. Chicken stock. Now, I put everything in a binder, okay? And this is something you should do too. All right. Take your masterwork and put it in a binder. All right. See all the papers in here? That's all recipes, all sorts of stuff. So, I mean, when the time comes, you got that. And then you have a little pocketbook, for your calculations and stuff like that. When I go to the restaurant, I stick it in the back of my pocket. If I need to know how to make something that, is typically made on a daily basis and I don't have it memorized in my head, I just go to this hotel butter, for instance. How much water for stock or a broth when you're making it up. All right, to the mirepoix that you're going to put into it. How many liters of water are you going to put in for how many kilograms or grams of mirepoix? You got to know that stuff. And as a millennial, you're going to have your phone and you're going to just ask Google. But I'm not a millennial. I go right for the book, and that's kind of silly to say because I do go to Google quite often. I'll have my phone in the other pocket, right? And I'm asking them. So let's see here: beef bourguignon, beef stock, chicken parm, carrot ginger soup. These are a lot of recipes, coq au vin, that I got from going to college. Espagnole. Okay, so Espagnole is one of the mother sauces. So you got velouté, Espagnole, hollandaise, you got tomato sauce, bechamel, and they say velouté. You got velouté, Espagnole, hollandaise, bechamel, and tomato. And I see that. Anyways, Espagnole is is the base for when you're going to make your glaze. All right. So that long glaze process, and it's also, you're making reduction sauce. A lot of times you're going to make the Espanol sauce. And what that is really is just tomato paste. You're adding tomato paste to the mirepoix, and that is the Espanol. It is your base for your reduction sauces. All right, in that category, the dark reduction sauces. So beef, something in the beef category, dark category. So the Espanol brown sauce. All right. You're gonna have your mirepoix, so onions, carrots, and celery. You're gonna have your butter, beurre manier. So you got your butter and your flour. Okay, so you mix the butter and the flour in together. Your brown stock, so that'd be your brown stock, and you're going to put your tomato paste in there. So you translucent the onions, all right, while the mirepoix is cooking, all right, you're going to throw in your tomato paste. And you're going to throw in, after the tomato paste, okay, you let that cook a couple seconds at the bottom there in the butter. But what you're going to deglaze the bottom of the pan with some stock, all right? So you're going to pour in stock over top of that. And with the water, the stock water, it's pretty much the same thing. So you're going to throw in a sachet. So you're going to throw in your bay leaf, your thyme, your peppercorn, your parsley stems, and it's going to be in a cheesecloth wrapped in butcher's twine, right? And that's going to go in there, and it's going to bubble with this reduction, right? Okay, so you're reducing by keeping it on high, it's bubbling. And after a little while, you're going to turn it to simmer and just let it sit. All right. So, I mean, that's your Espanol, that's your brown sauce. And it's one of the mother sauces. All right. So let's keep looking. Now, since I don't have my camera set up yet, I will. I'm going to get a camera. I'm going to stand it up, and you'll be able to watch me. Until then, I can just turn this, and that's about the best I can do. But just explaining it, it's just to get the idea, And then once you have that idea, by all means, check the 100 other chefs that are on YouTube actually showing you, all right, just exactly what I'm talking about. And, I mean, there's not much more than what I just said, right? So I mean, you're putting it in the pot with your mirepoix. You're cooking the onions until they're translucent. You're putting your tomato paste in. You're letting it, swish it around a little bit, and all that font at the bottom of that pot. All right, it comes off with a deglaze when you're deglazing the pan using stock. All right, the stock has water in it, right? So there's your water, that's your stock, right? You pour it in, and you deglaze the bottom of the pan, and then it's just a matter of reducing. And there's your Espanol sauce. Really, there's not a whole lot to it. You put it on simmer, and you're set. Now, the Espanol, all right, is the foundation, all right, for when you want to have a glace, a very nice sauce, all right. In which case, when you have that tomato paste in before you throw in that broth or that stock, you're going to put some meat in there, all right, and and really you're not really making a mirepoix because the stock is going to be all together, so you're not really pouring in stock. You're taking chunks of whatever of all sorts. You don't have to cut to the size of mirepoix, little cubes, all right, when it comes to the Espanol, because in this case, all right, if you're going to make a glaze with it, it's all going to get strained out anyways. It's going to get thrown out, right? You're putting bones in there. You're putting meat in there. You're putting it at the bottom. You're mixing the tomato paste in here. You're letting it cook at the bottom, all right, with a little bit of butter, and you're letting it cook at the bottom of that. So you're creating a font, all right. And when you pour in the water, you're deglazing, all right, taking all that font off the bottom, all right, and it all comes together. So when you pour it out into a china cap through the cheesecloth to catch all the bones and stuff like that, and the bones you're going to be cutting them. You're going to be looking for bones with the knuckle part, where the bones meet. Lots of good stuff in there. I think it's collagen or something, and that all boils together, right? And you have a beautiful thing in the end. So you're gonna strain it. You're gonna take all that stuff out. You're gonna have a liquid afterwards, and you're gonna reduce that. All right. Again, you're working with red wine, so you're gonna pour red wine in too before you put in the broth, right? And maybe a little bit afterwards too. I mean, you could play with it, right? Don't get me wrong, you can play with it, and you'd be surprised. Some things are accidents. They're actually a good idea. So when you strain it into another pot, you're going to let it reduce, and you're going to strain it again, and another pot. You're going to let it reduce. You're going to take that. You're going to put it into the fridge for like 4 hours, 5 hours. You're going to see all the fat is going to harden on top. You're going to scrape that fat off. All right. You're going to put it back on the stove. You're going to let it reduce again. You're going to pour it into another pot. And before you know it, you got a beautiful glaze. I think it's glaze. Deglaze, a glass. I looked it up the other day. I get confused with the words. So you deglaze the pan. You have un glace. All right. That is created from the reduction. Okay. Anyways, moving on. Oh, geez. So, Saint Devin, hotel butter. Hotel butter is a big one that we make in the restaurants. You take unsalted butter, you chop parsley, chop shallots, lemon juice, white pepper, and salt. White pepper because you don't want black pepper specks and that look funny. And then the butter is not hard frozen; it's soft, so you mix it all together and you get yourself your hotel butter. And it goes along the same lines as the word I'm looking for as being compounded butter. See what that little book's for? There's so much to know, as I said, with the glace de glaze, that you forget for a second. And the brain works like this. Okay? That's how the brain works. Like, you know it, but you got to wait for it to come around again before you remember it again. So if you're here, all right, you're talking about something, you got to wait for that to go around before you remember it again. But if you got a little Coles note and you're here, you might be able to bring it up here. All right. If you don't have the Coles note, you got to wait for that to do the full circle, the full 360. And that's how the brain works. So let's keep looking. Now we know there's hollandaise. We know there's velouté. Salsa verde. I brought that up for a minute. Tomato sauce. And tomato is a mother sauce. Olive oil, onion, small dice, garlic cloves, chopped fine, tomato, whole canned, probably peeled tomatoes, and fresh basil. That's a tomato sauce. I don't know if that's completely the way to make the tomato mother sauce, but it probably is. You know. You know what? Come to think about it, I might have the wrong binder here. See, I do have another binder. Oh yeah, it's my school binder. Well, that's okay. I got my little green book. So, don't have to go too far. Okay, Garnier Bechamel on very low heat. Okay, whisk equal parts fat, butter, and flour. So say 30 grams and 30 grams, flour and butter, whisking, and 2 cups milk, 500 milliliters. Whisk nonstop. Add half an onion with clove and bay leaf until it thickens. Filter with a sieve into bowl, add white pepper, a pinch of salt, small dash of nutmeg, and that's your bechamel. A very low heat, whisk equal parts fat and butter in a bowl. Add 2 cups of milk and you're whisking on low heat. Okay, no, not this bowl. On very low heat, whisk equal parts fat and butter. So in a pot, whisking 30 grams of butter and flour, and then 500 milliliters of milk, whisking nonstop. Now you take a half an onion, you take a bay leaf, and you stab the bay leaf with the clove through the bay leaf into the onion. All right, and there's actually a name for that. It's been so long since I thought about it. It's not a sachet, it's not a bouquet garni. It's geez. Well, there's a name for it. I'll come up, but I gotta wait for it to come around again. All right. So then you're putting that in. Time equals thickness, so about 30 minutes on low, and you're whisking. You're going to filter that with a sieve into another bowl or another pot. You're going to add the white pepper and a pinch of salt. and a small dash of nutmeg. And that's your bechamel. White roux, very low heat, whisk equal parts fat, butter, and flour. And that's your bechamel. Now, bechamel with cheese is called a Mornay. Usually white cheese, Parmesan, or Gruyere. Gruyere is very good cheese. It's expensive though. Production, Bernoise. You know, that onion thing is something I learned. It's been about 16 months now since I last talked about it. Well, anyways, it's going to come to me eventually. So then you got a velouté, A-E at the end, velouté. That is another mother sauce. It's a blonde roux, stock plus roux. Okay, always use clarified butter. So again, clarified butter burns at a higher temperature. You're going to use a white mirepoix. All right. So the velouté means a white mirepoix, which means that you're going to use, instead of carrot, like parsnips. You probably get away with mushrooms instead. So celery, onions, mushrooms, celery, onions, parsnips. It's got to be a white mirepoix. Okay, and it's not a stock, so you can't go with big pieces. You're going to have to cut the mirepoix into dice. Okay. It works with veal, beef, chicken, or fish stock. All right, so you're going to use it's a velouté. You're going to use a meat stock. All right, so the stock. Stock yeah. And then you're going to use a sachet with a bay leaf, thyme, peppercorns, parsley stem, salt, white pepper, not dark pepper, white pepper, because it's a light thing. It's a light sauce. It's a velouté. All right. Let's see here. Now, each one of the mother sauces has small sauces that go with it, so that you can make from the mother sauce. So the small sauces of a velouté, for instance, is a supreme sauce, almond sauce, white wine sauce, aurora, uh, Bercy, cardinal sauce. So those are small sauces. Like the bechamel, we created a Mornay from the bechamel. That's a small sauce of the bechamel. Let's keep looking here. Shrimp butter puree. Oignon piqué. Oh, that's it. Oignon piqué. Oignon pic. So you're taking, when you think of pick, right? You're using the clove to pick through the bay leaf and into the onion, into the half an onion. So you cut half an onion, you have bay leaf and a clove. Clove through the bay leaf into the half onion. That's called an oignon pic. Or piqué, I say piqué. Picking in, piqué. Oh, that's gross. Oignon pic, okay? Enchanté. We're French cooks. So anyways. Let's see. I'll talk about the double boiler situation a little bit later. Hollandaise, clarified butter. Use egg yolk for a hollandaise, and about 15 milliliters of water. Bar manier means a little bit of flour and butter together. Squish it together, the butter and the flour, and use a double boiler. So you take a pot, and you put a bowl on top of the pot. Make sure the bottom of the pot is not touching the boiling water that's in there. And it's not necessarily boiling, it's more of a hot simmer. All right, and you're putting the pot on top like that, and you're whisking in the bowl here. All right, so it's like a double boiler situation. You whisk on low heat. All right, you can lift it up every so often too, because you don't want it to get too hot. Otherwise, you're gonna burn your hollandaise sauce. All right, so lift it up, put it down a little bit, lift it up again, whisk, 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 put it down a little bit, lift it up again. Don't let it burn. Don't let it solidify too much, okay? Because hollandaise sauce is supposed to be like a liquid. You're supposed to get a nappe on the back of a spoon. All right. Um, you want to add a little bit of lemon juice, little salt, little cayenne pepper to taste. Um, 2 yolks per 150 milliliters of butter. All right. When we were in school, we got 1 yolk, 15 milliliter. Well, we had to learn how to do it, but anyways, so and then you got your hollandaise, and I think there's things you can add to it. My Espanol, the bechamel, velouté, tomato. Oh, I feel like I'm missing one. Hollandaise, tomato, Espanol, velouté, and bechamel. Bechamel, velouté, Espanol, hollandaise, tomato. That's 5 of them. All right. Remember an egg too. Hollandaise. So we got the tomato, the hollandaise. We talked about that. Okay, well, I guess we got our mother sauces together. So, and again, you can look them up on Google. Millennials. That's totally cool. All right, now I am going to make breakfast. So let's see how I do that. My tools, put them back here. This is a left-handed wooden spoon. I like the left-handed because I'm always working with my right hand. So the left hand, it takes a little practice, to get your left hand in your head. But once you got it, it can be a lot of help. All right. You end up becoming a little ambidextrous. Is that the right word? Ambidextrous or something like that when you're cooking. So doing 2 things at once like this, I got my shrimp, working on my shrimp, and I'm stirring at the same time, working at the shrimp, putting it on the plate, making it nice, and I'm stirring and I'm stirring, and you do 2 things at once. When you master something, every restaurant has a menu. After a little while, you've mastered it. The hardest part, like that chef the other day was telling me I have no experience, baloney. All right. The only no experience I have is a new restaurant with your menu that I've never seen before and that I need experience plating it the way your restaurant plates it. When I started off at the pub bar, not going to mention the names, but I mean, they had 5 or 6 different salads. They had wraps. They had Mediterranean bowls. And you had to know what things to put in a Mediterranean bowl, or the tuna bowl with miso sauce. All right, and then it came with rice. And before service, you'd be pre-packaging all these things for service, right? So it'd be put away in the drawer. The same thing with the hamburgers and everything, but every restaurant has a different way to plate. I know how to make hollandaise sauce. I'm not inexperienced. I'm just inexperienced in the way this restaurant serves their food. It's like he was just trying to make me feel like crap or discourage me. And I think you got to beware that I believe chefs out there are trying to discourage new chefs. And I think they're doing it on purpose to preserve their jobs. I've had people push their way around me while I first started at a new job. because they were afraid that I might be better than them and that they might lose their position. All right. The best stays, the worst leaves. And that's the way it ends up. All right. So, I mean, prove your worth. I don't know. Sometimes people can be evil. All right. I mean, this one kid, for instance, I mean, he probably spent the last 6 months in the slow time of the year learning how to do everything. And as the season progressed, I was brought in there and he's pushing his way and he's a big boy. He's a big fat boy. Eh? He's pushing his way around me and I'm like this up against the fryer, and I'm trying to do my part in the line, but he wants to do everything, you know, so that I don't get a chance to do it because he's worried. He's 24 or 25 years old. He's worried he's going to lose his position to some guy who's been in it for a long time. And so he pushes his way, around me. I got upset at him and I said, "Look, man, you got to let me do my part. I mean, you went to the same school as I did." I tell you, that restaurant just hired me to work Christmas and New Year's. They were really hard on me and did everything they could to get me to walk away from it. And because I mean, they didn't need. They would have been overstaffed in January, February. Somebody would have had to leave, and they had to keep me on the worst person list. And how the $800 was nice. They ended up keeping my tips through Christmas and New Year's and split it amongst them. I just said to myself, keep the blood money. That's fine. I don't ever have to know you guys again. And it's unfortunate, but that's the way it is. You gotta know that. All right, people will use you for holidays and specials. They might treat you like crap. In fact, one of the best times to get a job is in the slow season, but it's hard to find a job in the slow season. And if you can find something, you know, I mean, some of the jobs that I really wish I had was one a French restaurant to get into a French restaurant, in a time when I have enough time to learn the menu and everything else. Another restaurant I'd like to be in is something like, that show The Connors. I was watching it last night. I watch it often actually, and they have their own little restaurant, right? And like to get into a restaurant that's just opening up that needs a cook, you know, or somebody with chef experience, it means a lot to that restaurant. You become the first one in there or the second one in there, you could last a long time in there. Year after year after year, you got a job and you don't have to worry about nothing. And that's what you got to try and find. That's what you got to get yourself into. But if you run into a place like I did, um, I have a few times. They're just going to use you. They're going to treat you like crap. They're going to do everything they can to get you to quit, because they're overstaffed and they can't afford too much staff in the slow part of the year, January, February, March, you know. People kill for workers when the students come back and they're going out and they're partying night after night after night or in between exams, something like that, all through the summer. Restaurants kill for workers. All right. But if you're not good enough, they'll do everything they can to get rid of you. It's a hateful position sometimes where everybody will fight for their position. If you're still working there in the middle of January, odds are you're good. But if you're gone by the beginning of January, or maybe even go to February, you know, people can be evil. So I mean, that dream to have a restaurant like on the Connors, or to get into a job placement uh, when it's not busy, all right, which will give you enough time to learn everything. Like this 24-year-old kid that came out of school and he pushed his way, he's a big fat kid, and he pushed his way all around me, and didn't let me work, to prove that he was better. It was really unkind. All right, but I don't know, what was I getting at? You know what? I'm hungry. I don't want to stop. I'm going to stop talking about this. So I'm going to make some eggs here. So let's make some eggs. Stop worrying about stuff. Let's see. I got my little frying pan. I'm going to need my little whisk. My whisk. All right, I got my whisk. It's just my little whisk. This little whisk was $1, and it is one of my favorite things I ever bought at the thrift store. This was $1.99. My second favorite thing I ever bought at the thrift store. So I'm gonna make eggs with this leftover tomato, and I have half an onion, and I guess that's enough. Now you would be amazed how far one egg goes. In this instance, I'm going to make 2 eggs because I'm mixing it with stuff, okay? Now, if you're not going to mix anything with your eggs, then by all means just use 1 egg. You can fill the whole bottom of a frying pan with 1 egg. You'd be surprised. Once you whisk it up, it opens up into one big, beautiful omelet, all right? But if you want to put something chunky in it, onions or tomato, use 2 eggs because you need the egg to hold it all together. All right. So, oops. So I'm gonna do a little mirepoix here on this. Can you see it okay there? Yeah, it's not bad, eh? It's a little glary. All right. So let's take our Ginsu chef knife. All right. Now we're going to flip this over like that. We're going to put the core end on this side, all right? And we're going to cut through like this. That's 1. And we'll go up, a cube size. We're going to go up 1 cube. And we're going to go in again. And now I'm going to cut this way. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Typical way you make your mirepoix. And then down here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and that's fine like that. Now I got this leftover piece. Don't ever throw out anything in a restaurant, okay, unless it's pure core, all right, or not good enough to use. Now there's still more I could use here, but I'm going to throw it in my compost. Little compost bags of choppers, see that? So anything that's like that, I can waste a little bit. Not a big deal to waste a little bit. And there's my nice cubes here. Beautiful cubes. A few of them aren't cubes. Just chop it up a little bit more. I'm not doing anything too special. Just making a little breakfast. Like that. Okay, most of it's all cubes. Just fine. Now I'm going to take my tomato. Extra pieces. Now I already cored that. As you can see, I cored it. And I cored it with my little 99-cent tool I bought at Chef's Paradise here. See that? It's got little spikes on it. And you dig into the core like that. Just pops out. And that goes into your so you always do the tomato upright like this. All right. Otherwise it's going to be slippery. And when I'm making an omelet, I want to chop it very, very thin. Very thin one way, turn it over, and then very thin the opposite way. Okay, and I can put that there. Maybe a little bit more tomato, so I'll do 1 more. Wow, my knife needs sharpening. You see that? Didn't even cut into it very well. All right. If you're ever going to push something over, turn your knife this way, upside down, and push it over with the back end of your knife because you don't want to damage the blade. You keep doing that, you're going to damage the blade. Okay, so I'm going to put this back in the fridge. I'm going to save it for my sandwich later. Now, the tomato is going to get mixed up with the egg because it doesn't need to cook so much. The onions are going to need to cook. So let's put in my pot here the tomato, like so, nice and easy. And this onion is going to go into the pot. Or into the pan, should I say. So I got a little olive oil. Olive oil is very expensive today. This one's one of the best ones. Can I see that okay? Pure olive oil right there. 750 milliliters. All right. It's about $10. And if you get it on sale, it's probably about $9 or $8.99, something like that. For 750 milliliters of olive oil, that's a pretty good deal. So we're going to coat the bottom of this pan like this, make it all the way around. We're going to put it on the stove. Now remember, hot pan, hot oil. All right, that's just something you should get used to. Hot pan, hot oil. I'm going to put that on the stove. Now, this one. Never crack your egg over top of this thing. All right, typically you're supposed to crack your egg into something else to make sure there's no shells in it. All right, but what I'm going to do is I'm just going to crack it on the table and open it up just like this. You don't want any eggshells in there. That would be a very bad thing. Is that an eggshell? No, that's a piece of onion. That can stay in there. So that's one. We're going to use 2 eggs. Just like that. And eggshells, they break really easily, so that's why you want to break them somewhere else. Eggshells go really good in the compost again. $4.99 for compost bags at Shoppers Drug Mart here in Vanier. We're all trying to save the neighborhood, right? Now we're going to whisk. Whisk, 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 whisk. Okay, so hot pan, hot oil. That should be about ready to throw my onions in. I'll take my onions. Try not to drop any on the floor. Go. I'll throw a little bit of salt, a little bit of pepper. No special pepper, no special salt. But if you want to throw in kosher salt, I mean, there's no one to stop you, right? Typically, kosher salt I use for meats, and that's about it. Okay, so you know what else I want in this? I'm going to want oregano. I'm going to want thyme. Let's have a look at the spice rack. So I've got oregano. I've got thyme. I have parsley. And you know what? Just for fun, I'm going to throw in some turmeric. All right, so little turmeric. You can't even tell it's in there because it's already yellow. A bit of parsley. Parsley gets thrown in around the end normally of anything because you don't want to burn it. You don't want to cook it too much. The parsley. I mean, we're just making eggs here, so it's all good. time. It's all ground. You don't have to go like this, pinch or anything like that. If you put this stuff together, it tastes awesome. And you're whisking it, right? So you're all good. All right, now we're whisking that. There we go. Oh, beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Okay. It's very nice looking. It's like Tuscany. It's like a Tuscany egg thing. All right, so let's put this back. Right. As soon as I get a little translucency to my onions, we should be good to throw that egg on top of it. Jeepers creepers, I'm really going to have to sharpen this knife. I think it's time to bring it in to knifeware. I mean, knifeware will do it for, they'll do it for $15 or something like that. 15, maybe 20. I don't know how much it costs. It's around 15 or 20. Usually I get them all done together. They charge me. I throw it on the credit card and everybody's happy. Feels sharp, but it didn't cut into that tomato very well, did it? Okay. Your knives have to be sharp, especially if you're in a high-class restaurant. Always go to work with sharp knives. Don't go to work with a dull knife. It's just common sense. If you're going to be a good chef, your knife is your hammer. Okay, so that should be ready. This is really beautiful. You should see this. Can you see it at all? It's really beautiful. So that's gone translucent. I'm going to pour that right on top. And that should absorb all of the onions very nicely into the omelet. Yeah, work like a charm. Make sure you get all of it. Scrape the bowl. There's a lot of extra stuff there. All right. We are rocking. Now, I'm going to do this bachelor breakfast style on toast. I'll take a couple pieces of bread, just regular bread. The best bread I know in the world is Betty bread. Betty bread is the best bread in the world. Betty. Well, I don't know. There's nothing better than home-cooked bread. But this is pretty darn good bread. Beats anything you get, and it's like $1.50 more. So let's throw this in the toaster. I call this bachelor breakfast style because a quick omelet on bread and ketchup is bachelor breakfast. I mean, a bachelor breakfast back in the day when I was younger, you throw your eggs in the microwave with a little water in the bowl, and then the egg, you whip it up for 1 minute. You got your toast, you throw that egg on your toast with a little bit of ketchup and bang, your bachelor breakfast. So this is a bachelor breakfast style. It's not necessarily bachelor breakfast, but here we go. So the next thing is going to be cheese. Cheese is always put into your foods or near the end of its cooking process. Okay, so I'm going to flip this omelet now. It's ready to be flipped. I have to find my flipper. The flipper is in the water between the little You still see me there, yeah? Right? So it doesn't stick to the bottom of the pan. It's very, very beautiful. There. Now, I flipped it over and then I turned the element off because there's enough heat that it's going to cook the second side without the element needing to be on. So I like to conserve and save electricity. Another way I conserve and save electricity is by unplugging everything. I unplug the toaster after I'm done using it. I plug it in when I'm going to use it. I unplug the microwave. And it's because there's a continual electrical thing happening. And although it's not much, it costs you money. The best thing you can do is to unplug all the appliances when you're done using them. You'll see it on your bill. $5-10 difference just because you unplugged everything after you're done using it. It's ridiculous that even though your appliances are off, it's still absorbing electricity out of your home. It's like leaving your light on all day. So now the omelet's almost done. I'm going to throw the cheese on top and it'll melt. Now the omelet is fluffing up. It's growing thicker and thicker now. I flipped it over. Got a thickness happening. I should have a glass of milk. Let's see, do I got a glass anywhere for milk? I have a glass of milk. Now milk should always be drank in a glass, not in something made of ceramic. Milk is meant to be drank from a glass. Okay? It's because the glass will absorb anything bad in the milk and it'll stick to the glass. And it doesn't do that for this. This morning I don't care too much. I've never used this cute thing with my initial on it. Isn't it cute? Oh, that's beautiful. So thirsty. So I'm going to put that there. This is breakfast. If you don't have any tomato, try tomato sauce. You don't have to cut up any tomato. You can just throw in some tomato sauce. Just tomato in the tomato sauce. And it cooks with the egg. Nothing wrong with that. So, next on the list, we're waiting for our toast. Look at this little plate. I got this plate at the dollar store. Isn't that nice? It's got gold rim. I like old plates. Old style looking plates, plates with nice designs and stuff like that. It's very classy. 99 cents. I don't overstock my cupboards. All right. The bell just went off on the toast, so I'm going to have to get that in a second. But it's good to have one or two of everything. You don't need 4 plates if you're living by yourself. 2 plates. One if you got company and one for yourself. 2 little ones, 2 bowls, 2 forks, 2 knives. When you go to do your dishes, especially if you don't have a dishwasher, okay, it's easier because you only have a few of everything. Knives and stuff, that's a little bit different because and tools, it's a little different because when it comes to cooking, you need a lot of different things. But remember in the last video, I throw it all in my stock pot. So, the stock pot holds all of my tools, right? All right, so that rang. I'm going to be all unsanitary and just throw it on my table here. Unplug the toaster. No, there was just tomato. It was just tomato. This is a wooden table. I really like having a wooden table. So next on the list, we're going to take our beautiful food and throw it right on top there. Turn off everything again. We're going to throw our ketchup because I like eating it with ketchup. Going to put the ketchup on the toast. Voila. Going to take the toast and put it on top here. Now I'm going to take my knife that I cleaned already, so we're going to have to clean it a second time. No big deal. We're going to cut the edges off the excess because the omelet was bigger than the toast. Okay. Now we can put that aside. And we're going to look like this. You see that? So now I'm going to cut it in 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to put that on our plate like so. And the leftovers. And voila. There it is. It's just perfect. Jeez. So, hold on, I made a mess. I'm so cool. There we go. There we go. Thank you for watching. Have a very good morning. Enjoy your breakfast. I will. And until later, we'll make another video on something else pretty cool. Oh, I'm awesome, aren't I? Okay, take it easy. Thanks for watching. Thumbs up. Give me a subscribe. Tell me I'm silly. Just keep smiling. Bye for now.